6.6 million Americans are behind on their mortgage, and 9 million cannot pay their student loans.
Student loan delinquencies are on pace to hit some record highs.
And nearly half of these borrowers have a credit score below 620. That's not some worst case scenario.
9 million student loan borrowers face significant drops in credit scores once the delinquencies appear.
The 9 million borrowers could see their credit scores tank.
New student loan delinquencies can reduce credit scores by 150 points.
This isn't what's projected to happen. That's the reality right now. And if you don't understand what this means, here's the simplest way to put it. Once your credit scores drop below a certain threshold, you're done. You can't get approved for a mortgage. You won't qualify for a decent credit card. And in some cases, you cannot pass a simple background check to get a job or lease an apartment. You've effectively been frozen out of the entire economy. And the wild part is, most of these people didn't make some reckless mistake. They didn't blow their money or ignore their responsibilities. They did what they were told: get an education. They took out loans and they got that degree. They followed the plan we all grew up believing in. But now, that plan does not lead anywhere.
My credit score fell 250 points, y'all, 2 weeks ago because of my student loans.
My payment will be going from a percentage, a somewhat manageable percentage of my income every month, to the amount that will pay off my loans in the next 10 years.
Americans owe more than $1.7 trillion in debt. The average borrower owes about $40,000.
Because the economy they were preparing for before does not exist anymore. Let's be real. The future is automation. It's AI, and it's here, right now. It's already replacing entire categories of work: marketing, finance, legal, admin, research, even content creation, journalism, customer support, and the list goes on and on.
New study out today predicting almost half of all global jobs could be affected by artificial intelligence.
That 40% of all jobs around the world will be impacted by AI.
9 robots here doing the work of more than 250 humans.
These aren't future threats. This is what's happening today, right now. These are jobs actively being replaced by AI. Companies aren't just laying off some employees. They are restructuring entire departments around automation and cost cutting. And while CEOs talk about efficiency and productivity, what they're really doing is cutting out human labor whenever possible. According to McKinsey, in less than 5 years, 375 million jobs will have shifted towards automation.
AI could replace 300 million full-time jobs, including positions in the legal and engineering fields.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
This will mean a major push from certain fields, a lot of talent moving into other areas. We now have AI diagnosing lung conditions in as little as 5 minutes.
A few gentle breaths, and minutes later, a result, using the power of AI to analyze the breath.
Stuff like this used to take labs, sometimes days, to diagnose. That's how fast tech is moving. And meanwhile, the job market has gone completely cold. The average job search in the United States is now 21 weeks. That's 5 months of applying and following up and getting ghosted. 5 months while rent, auto loans, and other debt obligations continue to accrue interest. And if you're behind on loans during that time, there's no support. It's a tough break. The system doesn't care. You miss a few payments, and boom, your credit score tanks. At a time when most Americans are struggling, doing the opposite is what you'd like to do. Taking care of your credit score is important, especially today, as capital continues to get harder and harder to obtain. Lenders are looking at the writing on the wall. Credit scores are tanking, and Americans are in really big trouble. If you have a goal of buying your first home, getting a business loan, and advancing during this massive financial reset, this is what's happening. The middle class is getting completely wiped out. It's now the have-yachts and the have-nots. And it's going to get harder and harder every quarter, every month, and every year going forward. Making smart financial decisions today is going to, I believe, pay the best dividends ever. Like the next 4 or 5 years, if you are in a bad spot in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, recovering from that is going to be almost impossible. As this is happening and millions of Americans are getting pushed off a financial cliff, this is the time that you want to really button your finances up, have great credit, try to get out of credit card debt. as best you can. There's 0% APR balance transfer credit cards out there available if you have the right credit score. Usually it's about a 720 and above. So if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs or closures, bankruptcies, repossessions, student loans, any derogatory issues on your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. You can schedule a free consultation with one of our specialists, see how we can help you. I believe what we're going to see over the next couple of years is a massive wealth consolidation from the wealthy getting richer and everyone else struggling. However, if you make smart financial decisions today, your family will thank you for the rest of your life. Like I believe we're walking into something that's going to be like a 2008-like event. And once this wealth moves up, because right now most single-family duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes are owned by mom-and-pop landlords. Once that wealth starts to move up that ladder, it's not coming back down. It's just going to continue to consolidate. So put yourself in the best position possible. If you have credit issues, we'd love to help you at greatcreditfast.com. Schedule a call by clicking the link in the description just below. And then with bad credit, boom, you're locked out of financing. Can't catch up, and you can't refinance, and you can't start over. And this isn't just happening to new grads. This is hitting millennials in their 30s and parents in their 40s. Workers who spend 10, sometimes 15 years building out their career. And now they're being told their experience is outdated and no longer a fit. So what do people do? They settle. They take whatever job they can get, even if it doesn't cover the bills. They start using credit cards to pay for groceries. And I'm sure you've heard about the DoorDash Klarna deal, where you can finance burritos and pizzas in a payment plan. Many couples are going to put off having kids. They're going to skip weddings, skip vacations, and they're going to move back in with their mom and dad. People will do what they have to do to survive. When fewer people can qualify for loans, you're going to see more payday loans, installment loans, car title loans, more predatory lenders going out there offering lines of credit. Why? Because most financial institutions have cut off all funding. And when fewer people cannot get qualified to buy a home, what happens next? The demand drops on high-end homes, and so does the price. As that begins to happen, investors will step in and rent them back to the general public. I'm talking about hedge funds, private equity funds, large pools of capital. They'll step in and start buying inventory in bulk. Neighborhoods, condos, entire communities. They'll go directly to one of the big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, and say, hey, I know you have $500 million, $1 billion, $5 billion in non-performing debt. Why don't you sell it to us for 50 cents or 75 cents on the dollar? And these banks, they know that there's no ready, willing, and able buyers to absorb this inventory. They'll be better off going out there, striking the deal directly with one of these financial institutions. And as they offload this debt to these hedge funds, they'll rent them back. Everything will be available for rent. This isn't an accident. This is a business model. Even Bloomberg came out with an article saying America should be a nation of renters. And now they know the average American cannot afford to buy a home, and they're counting on it and getting ready to capitalize on it. This time it's not just housing. It's a job. It's credit. It's education. It's an opportunity. The entire system is shifting and locking tens of millions of Americans out of it entirely. And once you're locked out, you're not just poor, you're stuck with limited options. Hard to build credit, can't build equity, stuck in the loop of renting, of borrowing, of just trying to keep your head above water. But none of that fixes a system where prices just continue to go up and the value of labor continues to go down. It doesn't fix a system where a 4-year degree costs $100,000 and the job that millions of Americans have trained for no longer exists. And it doesn't fix a system where AI is replacing white-collar workers.
Tech giants like Mark Zuckerberg predict that in the future, millions of white-collar workers will be replaced
faster than workers can retain those jobs. So yeah, the middle class, it's under pressure, it's struggling. One missed payment at a time, one rejected loan application at a time, one layoff, one eviction, one AI rollout at a time. And unless something fundamentally changes, we're just going to continue watching this silent collapse unfold in real time. We live in a world where things get worse and worse every single month, every quarter, and people pretend like everything's good. But in reality, living standards are slowly but surely falling and tanking. And we're just going to continue watching this silent depression roll out in real time that millions of Americans are going through. This financial collapse, it's not like 2008, 2009, where every mainstream media outlet was talking about how bad things were and it really pushed forward this sense of fear in the economy. What we live through right now is there's so many events unfolding every single day that people are just bombarded with so much information that they don't realize that while everyone's looking over here, their living standards are falling over here. And this, I believe, is going to continue to grow. I think we're going to continue getting distracted by one story after the next, and we'll blink and we'll realize that we live in a two-tier society. Some will say we're already there now, where it's the have-yachts and the have-nots. I think in 6 months, a year, 2 years, we'll look out in the world and won't recognize it. But the real question, is anyone paying attention to it? Or are we just hoping that it doesn't exist? You know, I was in New York City last week, and I was there for a couple of days. I was at a restaurant. The couple next to me was a woman and her girlfriend talking about cost of living and where their friends are moving. And then they started just talking about how hard it was for them to live in New York City. Then the next day I go to a coffee shop. The guy next to me is talking to another guy, talking about how he is paying $1,700 and something for a small bachelor. It's basically just a single room, not in the city, just outside of the city, saying that he cannot make it and that he's gonna have to move. I think that if you were to look out in the world and see 10 people inside of a restaurant or in a coffee shop, 9 out of 10 of those people are struggling financially. But it looks like everyone's living, great and everything is fine. But I don't think people are gonna be able to hide it for much longer. And I think when you look at the numbers of what's happening with delinquencies of multifamily loans, credit card loans, auto loan debt, you start to see a different picture than what we see outside when we walk into these restaurants, these coffee shops. So what do you think about this entire situation? I think we're walking into a massive rug pull in America's middle class and a huge opportunity for smart and savvy entrepreneurs to go out there and build financial freedom for themselves and their family. Now, I try to look at the positives because, look, if people don't do something about it, Wall Street firms, these big hedge funds, they will. So it's up to all of us to retain as much property and investments as we possibly can, because next couple of years, that option might not be there. Let's have a conversation below. If you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you. And my company, GreatCreditFast.com. And if you'd like to learn more about what I'm doing with Section 8 real estate investing in Cleveland, Ohio, you can click the link in the description just below this video if you have $100K or more thinking about investing. Catch you next video.